Is your college or university website just not quite hitting the conversion goals you expect it to? And do you know how to fix it? Well, a benchmark report from Bravery Media can help. In 7 days or less, we run a performance audit on your website and give you a prioritized list of action items to improve site speed, accessibility, and conversion rates. Perfect for board presentations and budgeting reports, Benchmark is priced so that any institution can benefit from its insights. Visit bravery.co/benchmark to request yours. From Bravery Media, this is Appendix B. My name is Joel Goodman. With me is Kristen Van Dorn, and we are talking about... Kristen, what are we talking about?
So we're talking about the customer-based brand equity pyramid again, but this time we're going to talk about the second level.
So recap, the first level is brand salience, and
Yes.
That's just have people heard of you, basically.
Yeah, so it's the base of the pyramid. It is, do people know who you are? Are you in that conversation when they're thinking about making a purchasing decision? And in terms of higher education, that's usually an application decision. Like, who am I going to apply to? You want to make sure that when they sit down and they're like, yeah, it's time to apply to college, that your university or institution pops up in their mind as an option. So then the second level is about performance and imagery. So this is when they rule you in or out. Basically, if the first level, brand salience, is about establishing your position and value to your prospective customers, now performance and imagery is what they think about the quality or the value that they're getting from your product. So it's performance in the marketplace or it's performance in terms of using it. And then the imagery associated with that. In terms of higher education, they'll think about the quality of the academic program. They'll think about their likelihood of getting a job afterwards. They will think about services that you offer, features and benefits. Like, this is actually at the heart of where differentiation and parity strategies start, because this is where you want to show, this is how I'm like other institutions and how I offer just as good, if not better, quality for these different kinds of metrics. And then this is how I am different. This is what I offer that no one else has. So that's all in the judgment space. And then on the imagery side, that's when you start to get ideas about what does this look like in terms of how someone would perceive your brand or brand meaning.
Okay, so Kristen, how does that work in terms of strategies for our friends that are trying to get a handle on their own branding process?
So once you feel like you have salience with your market, like you feel like they know who you are and they know what value you're trying to pitch to them. Now, when you're trying to convey the meaning of your brand, this is all about putting things in people's heads when they're defensively like, no, I don't want all this stuff in my brain. It sounds awful, but that's what marketers do, right? It's about making people think of things that they may or may not want to remember. But so now you're looking at, how do I impart the imagery aspect? So what does this product look like? What kinds of visual identity is associated with this product compared to performance? Like, how well does this product perform? So that might be giving them statistics or giving them some level of social proof, like quotes. This might be helping them understand these are the differentiators and these are the ways that we're similar to other brands.
So is there a danger here of creating some sort of dissonance between what you want them to think of you and the actual quality of what you put out there? It's like if the imagery doesn't quite match the other side of it that you want to put in there, does that create a tension that maybe works against your brand?
Of course. So yeah, I mean, that's the heart of performance and imagery, right? Is that we have to make sure that these are authentically delivered messages. So we can't go out there and say we're the best at something when we're the 47th best at something.
So what about the other side of it? We see this a lot on websites. And I mean, this isn't strictly tied to branding, but it gets connected, where people are putting all these stats on their home pages or program pages, but it's a stat like we're number 9 in whatever region. It's number 9. Like, is that a good thing? Like, you're not number 1. Why are you saying you're number 9? I mean, is that like a good concrete example of like something not to do because it creates that dissonance? Because I would imagine that these things build up as well. It's not just a one-off. You say something negative or something that's, that's dissociated, and that just like ruins the whole thing in most cases.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely, you only want to put things out into your marketing, into your branding efforts that your consumer is going to understand easily. So again, our branding is sort of like an offensive strategy. If we look at like our opposing team as being our prospective customers, they're defensively trying to not focus on this stuff too much.
Right.
Like they don't necessarily want all this clutter in their brain. So what we have to think about is how to make that stuff that we're putting out there so useful that it sticks. And the way that you make it useful that it sticks is you make it very clear, very honest, and very short.
I mean, that makes sense, though. When we do this in content strategy, when we're trying to make websites perform better, we don't want to confuse someone. They've got enough going on at the same time. You've talked about the nature of recall and making sure that we don't overload people with a whole bunch of stuff that they're not going to remember, but to really get in there with precise messaging, precise visuals, precise marketing that allows them to connect back to who we are and remember what that benefit is.
Yeah. So it's not just about giving them data or giving them facts. Right. It's about explaining those facts in a meaningful way so that they can tether it back to what's the value for them. So in every case with branding, what you're trying to do is you're not just saying, this is my value to the world. You're saying, this is my value to you specifically.
Right.
You prospective student. So that takes knowing your audience, in knowing your targets and knowing what matters to them, and not doing like a spray and pray of here's 18 different stats and here's a bunch of different quotes from this program, hoping that the sheer mass of it is going to be compelling. We're not trying to compel them to be interested in us through just like overwhelming their senses. In fact, that's going to have an opposite effect. What we want to do is we want to plainly deliver something to them that speaks to them very specifically in a way that's so clear and compelling that they can't just forget it.
Appendix B is a production of Bravery Media. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a rating or a review on your podcast streaming service of choice. It helps other higher ed pros find us. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time.